And today we have a special guest, Mike Nikitas of NECN, which is New England Cable News. Give a little bit of a description of what NECN is all about.
There are about 3.5 million homes in the 6 New England states that have cable. So that gives you an idea about how many homes it's on. We started with about 750,000 homes, and it has grown, considerably since then. Everywhere we're on the cable, we do remarkably well. The ratings either equal or beat, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, CNBC. So people in New England like it. It's a challenge to cover a region that is, even though it's a region in name, it's very different. There are a lot of major differences between, as you know, living here from Connecticut to New Hampshire to Maine. And the trick is sort of finding the kinds of stories that will appeal to people in all of those areas.
Right. In 1992, NECN started its first broadcast, and you were actually the initiator of that. How did it feel, and how did you get picked?
They had hired a staff there, and they had worked and sort of trained for a couple of months before they went on the air and actually did a newscast. They were going out gathering news, and they weren't delivering it at night because, or at any time because we weren't on the air yet.
Right, right.
And then that first day, it was, for once, going to be for real. And the only problem was I was hired at the very last minute. They had hired another person for my position who didn't work out for whatever reason. And I was hired at the very last minute, and I did not even appear at the station before that morning. And there were all these people, they have, dozens of people working there and saying, who is this guy? Who is this mystery man? And I showed up, and, I did that first show, and I can still remember all these people. They had a party that morning, and when I went on the air and through to my first package, everybody cheered in the background. I think, boy, so all we're doing is doing a newscast, but so I didn't have the gravity of how big of a deal it was for everybody that had been working for, a couple of months, some people up to a year prior to that day. I just walked in at the last minute and,
okay,
bombs away.
You were raised in Nashua, and you went to Nashua High School, and then you took off for your broadcasting career. You must have been pretty happy to have come back to New England, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, when I left, I went to UNH and graduated from UNH, although I spent 1 year away from UNH as part of an exchange program that they had with UNH at the time with the Cal State system, California State University. So I went to school for a year in California, and I thought, man, I was born and brought up in New Hampshire. It's a wonderful place, but California was pretty hot, it was a great place. And so I moved back out there after I got out of school, and I lived out there for a number of years. And so I at that point had never, it wasn't that I didn't like New England or didn't like New Hampshire, I just never intended to return. I mean, I had lived here, I'd been brought up here, but I'd seen another part of this country and this world, and so from there we moved. I was married, and I worked in a little bit in each time zone, I like to say. I started in a very small TV station. I was in radio at first in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was in television in western Colorado, Grand Junction, Aspen area, for those people who know Colorado, very small television market, as a news director and an anchor. And then I worked in Indiana for 6 years in the sort of a medium-sized television market, we would say, similar to a Providence, Rhode Island, or a Portland, Maine, in South Bend, Indiana.
Do you have any advice for anybody who wants to go into broadcasting, in particular TV or whatever? Journalism.
Yeah, if you mean in journalism and in television news or radio news or in print journalism, I think that the main thing is to read as much as you can and write as much as you can. Certainly go to college if you can. Most jobs these days in this business, if you want to be, either on the air or a producer in television or a newspaper reporter, whatever they are, for the most part, demand a college education. There are still some people who, for whatever, have great job experience. They may not have a college education, but that's the main thing. And I just would say read as much as you can. Be informed about your world around you. Don't just watch one source of news. Read a lot of them. Learn about geography, learn about history, read about people. And you have to be good at those things. And it doesn't matter what you do. And I think that the other thing is just, apply yourself. Be a self-starter. Don't be reactive in your life, be proactive. Do things rather than waiting for somebody else to tell you to do them. And plus have a good time. You have to have fun, because otherwise, why are you doing it?